Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are doing an interesting episode on podcasting stories, and this is about the journey of podcasting and how people, start with podcasting and why do they do it. And you know, nowadays around 23% of the population is watching podcast, which is a huge number, and it's a growing platform for information, for connecting with people and knowing more about a particular topic. And I have with me Roshni Baronia, who has also started this journey a couple of months back. And today I wanted to get her together on board for this special episode about what is the story behind her podcast and why is she enjoying this journey, how is she enjoying this, and what is it she has for her audience through the podcast. So welcome on board.
Hey, thank you, Sargam. Thanks for doing this podcast together, where we can actually share our own stories about what made us get into this exciting space of podcasting. Because I think it's very new for both of us. At the same time, it is like it is adding so much of excitement the entire process. So it will be great to share individual experiences of podcasting.
Absolutely. So Roshni, can we know the name of your podcast and why are you doing it and what is it all about? But before that, we can have a small introduction for you. I know you are an amazing mom and you've been in the world for a long time, and it was amazing to connect with you, and it was an instant connect that we had.
Yeah.
And have this, going together. So can we know more about you?
Yeah, sure. So I am a sales consultant and a coach, and I work with women entrepreneurs, helping them get more sales scale and sustainability in their business. What I exactly do is help them establish their sales process, do strategic sales planning, and work with their team to achieve those sales goals and targets. I also do coaching with women to help them overcome their inhibitions towards sales. And lots of time it happens that whenever we hear the word sales or selling, people go back into their shells like a tortoise and retreat back listening to that word. But essentially, we all are business owners, and as business owners, it is one of the key things that everyone needs to focus on to bring in the revenue and work towards their sales on a consistent basis. So my intention is to work with such women who are facing challenges and inhibitions to get comfortable with the idea of selling. So that's where I work with them in terms of coaching and consulting. And my podcast is Ace the Sales, where I am helping business owners, small business owners, entrepreneurs, and solopreneurs to get their right sales mindset, strategies, and skills. Because mindset is needed to make that consistent progress and get into the action mode. Skills is needed to get more people to work with you, and strategies are needed to attain your goals and targets on a consistent basis. So those are the three levels that I work with my clients and customers.
Amazing. And how has your experience been so far?
For podcasting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the experience has been quite exciting actually. So just there's such a funny story for my when I was recording my launch episodes. So usually I record my episodes at the night, thinking that there is less of outside noise and external disturbances. So I waited till the midnight. I'm although off to bed by 10 o'clock. But this particular day on for launch podcast recording, I stayed up till 12 and then I was recording and very excitedly I did all the recording. And when I replayed it, I could hear in the background uh, dogs fighting and barking. So it was a very funny because uh, in the daylight we are oblivious to such small noises and
Yeah.
background noises, but in the night it is all the more amplified. So I had to re-record the entire thing again. So that was a very new experience for me in terms of podcasting. But yes, it was very much fun and I enjoy that entire process of scripting, recording, editing, and then publishing, promoting everything of it. So yeah, that's my thing. What about you? How has your journey been, experience been for podcasting?
So for me, like this was kind of a strategic thing that I wanted to do because there was already so much on my plate, and I thought, taking up podcasting is something that you need time for, you need commitment for, and you have to be very regular with publishing episodes. So prior to this, in January, like I started thinking that because I had to launch my book in 2020, The Millionaire Way, and I was not able to do the interviews for my book. So for me, in order to go and do this, and then Corona started, and then I had all the more reasons to not, work on this script because there was so much of work going on. But
Yeah.
then I thought, I was seeing podcasting, and this was something that I had probably, thought about doing for a long time.
Mm.
And my dad, he is an all India radio artist. He's a musician. So
Wow.
we used to go a lot to the radio station and Doordarshan. And, I used to feel nice about all of that stuff. So the
Oh, awesome.
part of it I really used to enjoy. And then I thought someday probably, I'll also have a show. And this was one, way of doing it. And I thought, why not take up podcasting, get my guests on the podcast, interview them, utilize their interviews for the book, and probably, a lot of messaging can come out about the consciousness of business. That is the whole idea about the book, The Millionaire Way. How you can consciously create a meaningful business, and most of the time, the companies that are great, their journey from good to great happens because there is certain amount of awareness, consciousness that the entrepreneur has about his business and the way he is doing it. The resilience, the strength, the inner work. Most of the time that is what takes them from good to great, though we may not acknowledge it upfront. So my idea was to get these guests on board and then interview them for all the inner work that they've done or the abundance mindset that they have created prior to actually creating an abundant business. So that is how it came together.
Wow. How beautiful. But tell me, I'm curious, why podcasting, not a YouTube channel or something like that? Why
I,
podcast?
I already had a YouTube channel. So last year I was doing a lot of work on crystals, and I did around 52 episodes of Crystals and Eggs, which was all about
Mm.
different kind of crystals and how you can use it in your day-to-day life. So I had done a YouTube thing, and but my name is Sargam, and it is related with the music.
Yeah.
My dad is into music, but I could never sing that well because he was like a gold medalist from Bhatkande University, and he worked with Gulzar. He had his own CDs and everything. I always used to feel I'm not that good, you know. So I thought this is another way of and my clients, usually love the meditations in my voice, and they would love to hear me. That is something that I've seen, that is what they enjoy, and that's how I thought, probably try a podcast and see how it works for them, and it's come out beautifully by the grace of
Wow. Wow. Nice. Nice. Yeah. So, like for me also, this podcasting is somewhere tied to my childhood experiences. Like, so we used to go to Nani house for in summers, and uh, summers may it brings back that nostalgia where the radio station was playing and it was having that deep sexy voice of Amin Siani playing, and and everyone is on with their life doing their daily chores, like in one corner of the room my nanny is doing her prayers. My masis are having fun and gossiping over a cup of tea, and all us children are still lazing around in the bed and playing silly games. So everyone is doing their own thing, but everyone is tied by this common thread of the radio being played at the background, and everyone is consuming it in their own special way. And cut to this modern time where in the pandemic we were all locked down, and unfortunately we were also got sucked into the daily chores kind of a thing. We had to do take on all that also. So I took more to listening to podcasts. So like you rightly also said that there has been a jump of 23% in podcast listening in India alone, and so that was true for me also. So when I thought that when I am listening, why not other people are also listening?
Yeah.
And the second thing is that 2 years back when I got hooked to actually podcast listening with one of the very first shows that I liked, the startup show. And I got to learn so much about how to do a business, startups, and so of course I've been on an entrepreneurial journey for the last 11 years, but still in this new format where I am driving my car, where I'm doing my work, still I'm able to learn and uh, personally develop myself. And over a period of time, I exposed myself to diverse interests of like life and storytelling. So there were different genres of podcast available, and every time I used to listen to any one of those, so it was a huge learning and a beautiful experience for me. So I've thought of tying both these things together, and that's when I thought that yes, podcasting is the way, and podcast is something which I really want to do in when it comes to content creation or sharing my thoughts and voice with my tribe.
And you're doing it so beautifully. So yeah,
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
for all of us who've been, in those times, we remember. I mean, Sani and
Yes. Yeah.
so
At that time, we used to listen to radio more for his voice rather than the songs. Yeah.
it's a nostalgia. So
So tell when you make your podcast, what is the best part that you like enjoy the most? Like podcasting has so many areas to it. Which is the part you enjoy doing the most?
recording. Though, like you have a story about your launch episode. I recorded my launch episode at 5 a.m. at night, and I had
Oh, wow.
26 takes. And the problem with me is I cannot go with a script. This is one issue that I have. I cannot work with a script. If I said something once, the next time when I'll say it, it'll be different, and then the next time I'll say it will be different. So I'm still learning, to work with scripts. So I took around 26 takes, and then the 26th one I said, now I'll have to let it go because it was 5 a.m. And then again, the morning begins and you have the movement in the home, and I thought I should better sleep after completing this. But I thoroughly enjoyed. My husband made the music for the intro bit.
So lovely. So lovely.
It's an amazing experience. So he did it in I think a day before he created the music and everything. He loves playing synthesizer, and like I'm blessed to be a part of a musical family. So my dad is into music, and then my with me, he is into compositions and synthesizing. Though he's an HR into HR analytics, but this is what he does for his passion. So he was generous enough to do it for me. So, putting all those pieces together and then listening it back for the first time, it was like, oh, it's nice.
That's so sweet. That's so nice. Nice. So,
So,
yeah, you were asking.
so how many episodes old are you now?
So I have done my fifth episode just released, and yeah, I'm working on my sixth and seventh one simultaneously.
So how do you choose your topics, and like,
Mm,
is there a process to completing your podcast, or having those topics in advance, and then like
yeah.
how are you doing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in fact, this entire process of finding the topic and doing the research and digging more about it, the scripting part actually is the part which I enjoy doing the most, because because whenever I put out an episode, the intention is that it should create value for the people that I'm sharing it for, and they should have some tangible takeaways for it. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that I want to make it highly relatable. So whenever I'm choosing these topics, it first has to be something which is solving a problem, a very usual and common problem for women who are not able to excel into that game of sales. And secondly, it has to be very relatable. And that's why I do a lot of self reflection and try to dig out stories from my personal experiences of sales, because I've been an entrepreneur for 11 years, and since the last 4 years I have specifically been into sales, both B2B sales. So I try to dig out those stories and personal experiences, so that whenever anybody is listening to it, they are instantly able to go, oh, this is what I relate to. Oh, I never realized this happens with me. So the intention is to make it that relatable. So this entire process of scripting and finding that topic is very exciting for me. How I search my topics is, first of all, of course, I have my own ebook published, which is specifically on sales mindset. So a lot of episodes and or a lot of inspiration come from that book itself, so that I'm able to give in small nuggets the entire learnings from that book. Secondly, I am a strategic sales expert, so I have an entire curriculum that I have gone through. So there is a lot of things that I have to share with people. So it is like ranging from strategic selling to sales planning to authentic selling to sales mindset. And thirdly, the best way to find good topics related to your field is through Quora. So Quora has a lot of questions coming in from people related to every other field. So like my field is sales and personal growth. So like you said that the external world is a reflection of internal world. So everything for a business person is coming from the inner area. So that's how consciousness comes, and that's in a little different way I say that it is the mindset that drives the business. So for me also, the inner work, the mindset work is very, very important. So I try to look out for that mixture of sales and personal growth. And Quora is a good platform where you can find questions related to your field. So those are my three areas that I get my topic from.
Right.
But I think you have uh, Pandora's box of topics, because you talk a lot about abundance and business chakras. So I think there's so much to talk about in this subject, right?
Absolutely. So basically, when you talk about energy, and now people are realizing it more and more, that it's a vast topic. I used to call myself an energy coach, and now, my marketing teams calls me energy guru. So, so when we talk about energy, it's everywhere. And when you start working with energy, you will understand that everything has a certain dynamics, and the way we think, the way we behave, the way we talk, all of that reflects in the work that we are putting out. So whether you are a homemaker, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are working in the corporate, all of that becomes an extension of you. So your energy is an extension of you in your maybe your office deliverables, maybe the food that you are cooking, the way you are arranging your home, and also the business that you are executing. So for me, it's been like almost 8 years connecting with energy, and then have a 14 years corporate background. So when I started tying up all of this together, it became a beautiful synergy. It was like I could see it like a music. When a person came talking about their issues, I could see a reflection of his inner state, probably in his business, his relationships, his health, and finances. And that is where, I started creating different programs in order to address the issues that these people had. Because somewhere, if you are like, your internal blueprint is aligned for abundance, you will be able to create it at any place that you are put in. It's that effective, it's that relatable. So if from from, like you said, for a sales mindset or for a growth mindset, you need that internal work in place in order to go out there and impact people. So for trainers and coaches or people like us, like your voice becomes a medium, and when you start talking about voice is nothing but energy. And the amount, the quality of energy that you have within will come out of your mouth and will inspire more people. So the quality of that energy matters. So this is how I could get everything into perspective and bring things into alignment. And now I'm starting to create different courses, different curriculums for the clientele that I have. And currently I'm working on the business chakras and the consciousness of business. So we're starting tomorrow, the kicking off the first workshop on business chakras and how you can align them and use them for your benefit. It's interesting.
Wow, wow. Yeah, this whole work around energy and abundance, it's so intriguing, and I'm so interested in it. So
And
yeah.
I think that we are never, we've never been told about this in our schooling or in our academics. Like, I'm an engineer, then an MBA. I did my MBA in I did my engineering in electronics and communication. So yeah, I did understand energy, but in a very different way.
True. E is equal to mc square.
Now exploring this and having that analytical mind, because you've come from an engineering background, you're able to see it happening in front of you. It's like a circuit. You can
Yeah.
see it in front of you, and then doing a little bit of tweaking, clearing some abundance blocks here and there, and you see that the circuit works really fine. So yeah, that's been an interesting journey.
That's a beautiful analogy.
And through this, I'm able to get in the guests who have actually utilized, who had that, you can say, spiritual grounding or an emotional grounding when it came to creating a mindful business. So my idea is to get those kind of guests who can talk about these things, because most of the times we talk success in terms of numbers and strategy, but we don't talk about the inner work. So I'm trying to get in the guests who've actually worked in this way, inside out, and have seen a tremendous growth in their business and their client growth, or maybe their own personal growth. So that's what was that's what motivated me to write this book and also have this podcast.
Uh, that's amazing.
So what are we looking forward to, Roshni, with your podcast in the next month, maybe, or what is?
Yes. So yeah, there are some very interesting things I have planned for my podcast. So currently, I am actually doing a mindset series where of course there are some nuggets from my ebook, but otherwise also I am expanding the scope of the conversations that we can have in the realm of mindset and sales. So like limiting beliefs, growth mindset, sales anxiety. So these are some of the topics that I am working on. So currently my mindset series is what I'm working on in my podcast. And next, I am doing a series of co-hosted podcast with a lot of fellow podcasters. Uh, and so those are again um, a, a set of episodes where we will be delving a lot deeper into uh, how an entrepreneur or a business owner has to see themselves in the entire gamut of running their own business. So it is not just doing each and every work yourself, but how you can get to a position where you can think of a bigger game, and you can uh, plan more for your business and take it to an entirely next level. So it will cover both the mindset part, of course, and the strategy part. So those are some of the other series. And then the third series that I will be working upon is the selling style. So that is something very interesting. But yes, that is still in work in progress. But so yeah, those are some of the things that I'm really excited about doing in the podcast.
For your audience now.
Yes.
That's nice. Anything else that you would want to share with your podcasting journey or about yourself?
Hmm. So, so about myself. So, of course, there's like I keep telling a lot about myself, but since like we are sharing our podcast stories, so I just wanted to share this one thing that I think for every entrepreneur or a business owner, it is very important to balance different aspects of their personality and the business. So be it the strategic part, be it the emotional, the rational, and the creative. So one should always try to have elements of all these that are fulfilling them in some or the other way. So, like for me personally, I see this podcasting process as a very creative element of my business. So I feel like a creator when I'm recording these episodes. So that is filling my creative instincts, and that's a pursuit that I'm doing in that zone. So my message to all the entrepreneurs is that try to have such kind of inspirations and intellectual stimulations which drive you forward in your business. So that creative fulfillment also is very important to have.
Yeah, very rightly said. Sometimes when you are doing the work that you're supposed to do, it can be really mundane. And
Yeah.
creativity is a kind of energy that can bring out the best in you. And
Yeah.
some people feel that maybe doing one part of the thing, it becomes like an autopilot thing. You're just able to do it. But when you are creatively thinking about something and then delivering it, there is a different kind of joy and passion attached to it. And I think that becomes the uh, you know you can say the driving force for some of the things that we do. So it adds to that energy, it adds to that passion that is needed to become the best that you are. And it shows on your face. When you talk about something creative, your face will light up because that is, yeah, you put in that effort, you've
Yes.
done something that you really feel passionate for. So absolutely right.
True.
That,
True.
that is really,
Because then when that thing goes out into the world, it goes out into the digital space, and thanks to having this digital space in the first place, that it has the capacity and the ability to take it to any corner of the world.
yeah.
So when this particular creation goes out into the world, uh, even if it touches the life of one person or many, uh, and they are able to make that shift in their business, which gives them a positive result, my effort has been paid off.
Absolutely.
So that fulfillment comes from that thing that yes, somewhere, some out there will benefit from it.
And one of the things that my teacher always used to say that um, the soul's purpose is to grow and evolve, and the growth and evolution happens when you are able to serve people. And the you can say the key to becoming successful, the key to becoming abundant, the key to becoming even popular is by serving more and more people. And you can use any platform, any way to do that. But the sense of fulfillment, the sense of satisfaction that comes from serving people, like you said, touching lives, is is a different kind of high that you can experience in your life.
Absolutely,
Everybody should
absolutely.
experience it at some point or the other, because that will help you bloom. Your personality will just bloom when you start doing that. So yeah.
So yes.
So thank you, Roshni. I think this has been really nice. And if there is any more question, yeah, we can do that. If you have anything to ask or say, let's think about.
Yeah. So in fact, I wanted to just ask you one last question. That of course you've shared how you get inspired to do podcast, and you have a family background which comes from music, and that inspires you to get into this podcast also. But I also understand that staying consistent with something which amongst those other things which are going on, because your business is there, your client servicing is there, and so much is going on. So how are you able to prioritize this podcasting work, and how are you ensuring that you will stay consistent with it?
Okay, so because I come from a process background, so my entire 14 years has been into process consulting, and it is for us to identify the gaps, define, and then execute. That's how I've been working. So that really helps work that I pick up. I start off with a gap assessment, ki kahan kya zarurat hai, and then I'll move on to defining a process for it, and then the execution and closure. That's how my brain works. So for I feel I've started off, and because the topics are so close. See, being consistent also comes from, like I said, if you have that passion, you have that energy to back you up, which inspires you to do better and better, you will become.
Right.
And probably we don't talk much about the energy of inspiration. We don't talk about passion much, and most of the people don't understand it. But this is what keeps you going. Your bigger why. If you have that bigger why in place, you will see that everything will be a smooth sailing, because every time you look at it, and then you are uh, you're energized to deliver more than what you can, or what you did. So for me, that is how things work. I have my bigger why in place. I am tasting what is touching lives, and what happens when even one person has a shift within. It's just amazing to even see. And you become humbled, because initially you always felt that you are only responsible for your life, and we were just living in that life. We are sad, we are not so good, we don't have money. We have our own stories around how we think about ourselves. But the moment we start touching lives, the moment when we start connecting with more people and adding value to them, your own problems start becoming very small. Those become really insignificant, and then you start feeling that I have a bigger role to play. And when you have a bigger role to play, all your limitations start to vanish. So I feel that is what is going to keep me going for this, because I have a purpose in mind. I have a story to tell, and I'm just loving this so much. And by the grace of God, the inspiration will come and it'll keep rolling.
Yeah, that's so lovely. Yes, yes, it was so beautiful, and yeah, there was such great takeaways from your sharings, also your podcast stories. Like growth is the purpose of life. It's not achievement, but growth is something which is consistent, and the inner work is what drives your business. And when you realize your bigger why, your purpose, everything else seems so small. You are able to find that energy and that passion when you are driven so much by purpose. So yeah, that those were some great learnings and sharings from you. I really enjoyed having this podcast story conversation with you, Sarkam.
Yes,
Really enjoyed it.
Rashmi. Probably I look forward to connecting with you more often for the wonderful work that you are doing. And I personally feel sales is somewhere, most of us, feel cringe because we are not in a habit, especially women, we are not conditioned for selling. So you bringing out, strategies and tools and processes in order to help women to make their sales happen, I think is a great contribution. And probably women today need it, and I'm sure they'll reach out to you for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Roshni.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.